Last night I did some homework, and homework included watching a Netflix movie, so it's not that bad of homework. But I did watch the Cuties because of Tulsi Gabbard and her tweet, and everybody going right after her, comparing her to QAnon and the dismissing of the Czechs' sexualization.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, on the left. And, you know, the right kind of owns this issue in some ways. We went to that Trump rally, and it was all about save the children. It was more of those Trumpers, whatnot, that are all involved when it comes to sex trafficking, fam. But what was your opinions right off the bat when you saw this? Because, you know, we've been waiting for Tulsi to kind of talk about this issue and stuff, thinking that she might know some stuff from her positions and who she was involved with in the past. But she came out swinging. So your thoughts on that? So.
I mean, I just think it's ridiculous that liberals are trying to minimize the very big issue that we've had for a long time, that is child sex trafficking and the sexualization of children, especially in Hollywood. I've met so many actors that have talked about how they were abused as child actors, and you can look on the internet as to how many of those there are. But the liberals just did this and sort of called anybody QAnon or a Trumper for mentioning it, and just to own Republicans. It's just like, how far does your hyper-partisanship go? It is disgusting to see that. I'm like very much like leftist in my politics of like, I'm pro choice. I'm pro like sex workers' rights. I think, you know, we should legalize prostitution. I think we should legalize all drugs. I'm like there. But when it comes to kids, I feel like it's a problem in America that we have. We're a very hypocritical, puritanical country. We really are freaking out. We were freaking out not long ago for seeing women give breast milk to babies, and we like hyper censor when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to showing things, compared to Europe, which is like far more leftist on that. But when it comes to kids, it's like you see kids, little girls wearing makeup, and like the JonBenet Ramsey thing, that bothered me. I never thought a little girl should be doing a pageantry with heavy makeup and looking like you're a 30-year-old woman when you're like 6 years old. And I see a lot of that in the Dance Moms and all that other, those other forms of entertainment.
Yeah, and you know, we come from an acting background of sorts. We've studied theory and whatnot, and art itself, right? I mean, how far do you let art go? You know, when you start involving little children. And I remember growing up and seeing so many, like, you know, conservatives, oh, for the children, we can't have this. Oh, for the children, we can't have that. And it was so, like, theocratical to me and whatnot. And it's like, well, you know, there's art, whatnot. But now we're in the day and the age of, you know, the sex trafficking and the pedophilia stuff. I mean, once again, I don't know what to believe across the board and how severe it is and whatnot. This movie, though, was very, very disturbing to me. You know what I'm saying? And I started thinking back about Britney Spears, about, you know, when I started seeing young little girls dancing like Britney Spears and they wanted to be Britney Spears and hit me, baby, one more time. And I was like, starting to question, I'm like, well, wait a second. How far does this go? Are we teaching our little girls to be sexual in a way that, you know, Nicki Minaj and Cardi B and all these other people, starting with Britney Spears, how far are we going right now? And, you know, it was really disturbing watching this movie. So I was behind what Tulsi said. But it's a good question, fam. I mean, where do we draw the line now?
Right.
Where do we draw the line? I mean, we're leftists over here, if you wouldn't want to call that anymore, because I don't even know where the political establishment left is anymore.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely not a liberal.
Friggin' shit. I mean, we used to be proud to call ourselves liberal, but now it's like, don't you dare call me a liberal. And they're almost co-opting the progressive word. Hopefully, I'm not giving that up and stuff.
Yeah.
But fam, where do we draw the line? You talked about Benet Ramsey. What's her name?
JonBenet Ramsey.
JonBenet. That was Florida, right?
I believe that was Colorado.
Was it Colorado? Okay. Yeah. I know we had a similar case in Florida too as well, and it gets creepy.
And Epstein and Harvey Weinstein. I mean, you can look at all of these things, but here's the thing, though, with QAnon. Just because QAnon got this right does not mean anybody's endorsing QAnon. And I'm not even saying they got this right, because they're also saying a lot of other things around this, too. There's a lot of things that are being thrown out there, and it's really hard to decipher what's real and what isn't. But again, people have the right to question something. And when it comes to Netflix, people are going to have their opinions as to what is shown. I'm not for any kind of censorship, and I've said that multiple times. But I think the problem with people had was more than even the movie itself. They had a problem with the marketing. the PR. That's really what's the mechanism, more even than the movie, because that's what we do. We sexualize the hell out of kids, and that's really disturbing, and it's something that has been happening for a long time. I do see that. I mean, the left is obviously, well, the liberals have obviously politicized this, and some of the progressive left have joined in on that. But the right has also politicized this issue, kind of making it like save the children, as if it's like, I just don't, I'm not necessarily there to feel like they're really genuine necessarily about it. Like everybody is genuine. I think like some people are, but I think there's also a little bit of that politicizing going on by the establishment when it comes to this, because people like Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz are going to agree with Tulsi on this, because they also want to like politicize this. They want to take advantage of how this is making Democrats look like a bunch of idiots too. So the politicizing exists on both sides, but at the end of the day, the hyper partisanship on the issue doesn't go after the issue. We need to go after the actual issues, which is child sex trafficking and actually the sexualization of children, which I am entirely, it shouldn't be an issue that is only on the right. It should be an issue that's also discussed on the left.
Yeah. And it's not discussed on the left enough at all.
No,
you
not
can't
at
even
all.
have these conversations. And once again, it's not about like, how far can we let art go? When you look at Hollywood nowadays, the way I look at Hollywood, it's more about programming. What's the message? What are they trying to put into our children's minds? What are they trying to put into adults' minds, for that matter? It's programming. So when they have control and a say about who is popular in Hollywood and who gets that shot, and they're all attached to all these people like the Harvey Weinsteins and the CAA group that, has intertwined with the Clintons and the Epsteins. You start saying to yourself, what are they doing? How are they trying to program on us? And I'm not saying that we should just kill the movie. That's not about that. It's about the conversations we need to have. You know what I'm saying? Because you are right, fam. We'll get into this a little bit more as we talk about this, because the right's issue of politicizing sex trafficking is to go after sex workers.
Right.
To use this cover, we're going after to save the children, to punish sex workers, adults on the street who believe that they have the right to be their body. It's that libertarian mind. And so where does that intertwine? So we can't just go all out. We have to look at things from all angles. But let's get to some of the tweets right now, because her tweet says, next, at Netflix, child porn cuties will certainly whet the appetite of pedophiles and help fuel the child sex trafficking trade. 1 in 4 victims of trafficking are children. It happened to my friend's 13-year-old daughter. Netflix, you are now complicit. Hashtag cancel Netflix. But you talk about who owns Netflix, who's pushing them, what messages are going on. We saw with the whole Epstein special, where they try to whitewash it and say Epstein was just a bad apple. They didn't want you to know that it was a global sex trafficking ring where a lot of power people were involved. So I'm always critical and conscious of like, what does Netflix want us to know? Because we're knowing too much, so they put stuff out there to get ahead of us. When they get ahead of a story, it means the public is catching on too quick. I mean, with the whole transhumanism thing, why would mainstream media report about transhumanism when it came to Epstein? Because too many people were knowing. That's why. So, any thoughts about our tweets? Should we?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, about canceling Netflix. I mean, I think in general, Netflix is a conglomerate that is profiting off of. It's a corporation. I think if we were going to cancel Netflix, we should have canceled Netflix a long time ago. But I think that Netflix is going to see, and they've already seen a heart in their pockets by a lot of people who feel this way. And I think they need to respond to, and they did change it. They changed the cover, because that was people's issue. Like, again, the marketing, the advertising, to get people to be interested in this. And trust me, this is like, it is whetting the appetites of pedophiles, seeing little girls and having makeup and very minimal
11
clothing.
years old, fam. Look at that. See those kids? They're 11 years old. And now they tell the boys in the park that they're 14, but they're acting like 18, 19-year-old, you know what I'm saying? And I start thinking, and don't get me wrong, I love to see Shakira, and I love to see all the dancing and whatnot, and I think it's a very cultural thing, but I see some of the way these kids take it on, and they just, all they see, and it's just elevated in their minds. It's glorified.
Yeah. It's
glorified. It's like, once again, it's not even just the sexuality of the whole children, it's the attitude. It's like this, go ahead and just start smacking a girl for talking out of line. Girl, you're 11. You're 11. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like children
Well-
have to be children, and I feel like they're thrusted into this whole freaking kind of just crazy world, fam.
And again, it's sexualizing children because we really like run away from like boobs and other shit online and on when it comes to porn and when it comes to a bunch of things that are completely normal in other countries. But in America, we also have a huge problem with pedophilia. We have a huge problem with rape. We have these things from a country that was founded on puritanical values. It just tells you that this is a very sexually repressed country, and a lot of the outlets are very nefarious, and it's just scary to me that we have now then politicized this issue, because then it doesn't get solved because it's weaponized instead.
Yeah, they got to do it like that. What was that show you watched with the libertarians in space?
Firefly?
Yeah, you said the sex workers are glorified and they're lifted up and whatnot.
Yeah.
We should do that. I mean, if a woman wants to be a sex worker, we met them, they should be able to do that. It would probably cause less from doing stupid things out there. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to just say men, anybody who's, you know, like you said, really like. All right, so it says the film's cute. Now, this is from Eugene Gu. I think Gu, MD. The film Cuties is a social commentary against child sexualization and exploitation. But social media and the mainstream media is all about puritanical, false accusations, because this is America and this is how we roll. Fam, the pressure of being here next to you made me pause on that word because I wanted to say it right. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
I got English people around me. Johnny, I said it right? He says yes. Okay. So, I mean, listen, here's the problem I have with that. Now, the reply is right down below. Shauna Burley. This girl is awesome. We know Sean, friend of the fam. I love Shauna. She says, you're a medical doctor. You have no educational authority to speak on the impact of media and Hollywood on the sexualization of children. By normalizing it, you send a message to sexual predators that this behavior is acceptable in our society. And then, of course, right below it, the Night Doc 1351. I didn't even go research this here to make sure it was right. Eugene Gu was famously kicked out of residency for, amongst other things, gaslighting students to pressure them into a relationship with him. There were also allegations of domestic abuse in previous relationship. He is not worth your time. I didn't go down that hole, but once again, it's kind of like, to me, that in a nutshell is a micro of a macro right now when we look at these things and stuff.
So, but this is what I said, though. Yeah. We are a puritanical society. We're hypocrites. But when it comes to sexuality, children should not be in that category. Children are children. They're innocent. They should not be what we use to like display sexuality. You want to display sexuality? Legalize sex work. Legalize. Have a red light district. Freaking like what? How is that only related to children? I understand art. You can tell a story, and it's not just the picture that's plastered on there. And I understand the media on both ends hyperacts things and uses it to get clicks and whatever. And I agree with that. But I also think, again, it's just become so like a lot of people don't even see it anymore because it's so subliminal. Like we gotten so used to seeing little girls like that it's really stopped bothering a lot of people, especially people in media, especially people in entertainment. It kind of comes with the territory, the whole dance moms thing, the whole this whole thing where it's little girls and they're just so heavily made up. And I think a lot of people are finally realizing, hey, maybe the reason we have people like Jeffrey Epstein and a bunch of pedophiles, child sex trafficking, is because we have glorified it in our media, in our movies, but at the same time, we go against actually making it legal for adult women and adult men to have, to be open about their sexuality too.
Yeah. And it's not, I think we've also been taking step by step, a little inching to normalizing this stuff too as well. It's, what I'm saying? It's just that, the next tweet over here, Steve Ferguson says, trafficking deserves far more attention that it is getting. And Tulsi answers right below, I agree. Here we go. Most people think it's not a serious issue or that it just happens to some people in other places. It is a rampant and happening in our own community. So right here now we're opening up the door. This is politically. You know what I'm saying? Now what she's saying is, I agree. You know, if they don't think it's not an issue, it's an issue.
It is an issue.
It's an issue.
Look at the Wayfair
Democrats,
stuff that
yes,
we
exactly. But Democrats strayed away from talking about this stuff because if we talked about this stuff, you were what? A conspiracy theorist.
Well, a lot of them are also involved in it. That's the thing.
Yeah. Or they're
Harvey
protecting
Weinstein
people.
and Jeffrey Epstein were good Democrats, weren't they? I mean, I'm not going to say that it's only Democrats. I'm sure Republican politicians are just as dirty in many instances, but I am saying like there is a lot of that politics involved in that too.
Yeah. Here's the other one, Elizabeth Nolan Brown. Now, this is kind of interesting. Using a fake controversy to push fake news and made up stats. I don't know why I thought Tulsi was better than this, but I did. Shame on me. Now, if you click onto her page, Johnny, Elizabeth Nolan Brown, she does have an article right there. The war on sex trafficking is the new war on drugs, which she's trying to make a comparison to where they kind of, the war on drugs was supposed to really go after the cartels and all the big ones, but it really went after the common people using the drugs, whatnot. She kind of goes in line with this. Once again, this is a big time libertarian woman right here who believes that they'll weaponize it on the right to go after sex workers, whatnot.
Right.
So that's why this is more
might.
nuanced, and it's more than just about the kids, is what I'm saying.
Right.
This bleeds into sex work, fam.
Yeah.
You know.
And like I said, sex work is, in my opinion, if you are going to do that, a lot of people don't want to do that. You should be properly compensated. And there's a lot of, we've spoken to some of the sex worker activists in Las Vegas, but here's the thing, like, that should be separate from the sexualization of kids, because that you can support sex workers without putting little naked girls on pictures everywhere for pedophiles. You can support sex workers by actually going after the actual pimps and the actual people who are behind the sex trafficking. We did a whole thing on Wayfair. This isn't a joke. I think actually by legalizing sex work, you completely put that aside, and that stands as legality, so you know who is able to do it, because you don't have to criminalize people anymore for it. So by legalizing sex work, you're actually going to help with child sex trafficking. Yeah. But I mean, these people, they just politicize everything. It has to be completely nuanced and non-politicized.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, that, you know, sex workers should be able to get protections. They can't get protections. They can't say, there's a guy who's trying to be a pimp, he won't leave me alone. Well, they're not allowed to do that. But if they were able to do that, and we would, and somehow they would work out stuff. You can be raped as a sex worker too. Absolutely, you can get beaten up. You put yourself in very serious problems. But I mean, if they can go get themselves protected, if it's a tax reason, get a tax number and file as a sex worker. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's so many ways we can protect them. Make sure they're of age. Make sure they're not in problem. See, the whole issue is that a lot of people feel that, you know, people are thrown into sex trafficking. You know what I'm saying? And they become, you know, prostitutes because it wasn't a choice of their own. But once again,
sometimes it is.
It is sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's Medicare for all. Let's give therapy. So if they want to do something else, let's get an economy if they want to do something. If you build these other things, but there are women out there who are completely fine, of sane mind, that want to do sex work. Right. We met them in San Francisco, in Vegas, in San Francisco. They were out there. You know what I'm saying? They were like, she's like, I'm a prostitute for 25 years. I'm going to be a prostitute for 25 more. I wasn't abused. It's my choice. I want to do it. It's my right. It's my body. So we have to somehow, you know, find ways to, you know, and that, like you said, fam, if we did do that, the nuances, then we can really go after sex trafficking. We can really stop the pimps out there. You know what I'm saying? But in LA, they got this whole thing. There's a special going on. They're rounding people up for guys pulling up and saying, how much? It's an undercover cop, doesn't look underage, old as can be. And so how much? She gives him a price. He says, no thanks, and drive on. They're arresting a person for that, for soliciting prostitution. You know what I'm saying? Not the fact that they're using older women that don't look underage. And the whole thing is, we want to stop sex trafficking. Yeah. I mean, of children, or, I mean, you can go up to Hollywood and arrest a bunch of people. But you're going to try to cop, you know, and these girls on the streets, when they set them up.
Legalizing sex work stops sex trafficking. Yeah. It's as simple as that.
That's it. No doubt.
It's as simple as that.
And they ask these girls, why are you doing it? She's like, I need the fucking money. What do you think I'm doing this for?
The prison industrial complex, too, benefits from this as well. So that's a whole other thing. Yeah. This is why everything's connected.
But if you get a chance, go ahead and take a look at Elizabeth Nolan Brown's article over there. It's in Reason.com. The war on sex trafficking is the new war on drugs. Johnny put it up. It's an interesting read. But once again, it makes you think about the nuance of the situation and stuff. Because even Jay, a friend of ours of the show, Jay out there, how you doing? And I also want to say hi to Mama June watching in from Georgia. We love you, Mama June. When it comes to the situation, the right can also politicize it and use it to its advantage to just, you know, stop sex working. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And they can also do it to infringe on our civil liberties.
'Cause
They
they're
can go
there,
over, you know what
yeah.
I'm saying, the different spying powers for this stuff. That's what they do when they conflate the two. So we
Right.
have to be, fam, everything is so goddamn nuanced nowadays.
But
Jesus
it's
Christmas.
but that's how it should be. We shouldn't have to say, well, I support sex work and I don't care about children because I'm a liberal, or the other way. Like, you should look at these issues independently, not just because you're a Republican or a Democrat, because I'm neither.
By the way, Mandy Jones, how you doing, Mandy? Thank you for the super chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. Jimmy and Graham have had talks with journalist Whitney Webb, who has done incredible research into this and other intelligence agency master plans. Also, her article on Ashton Kutcher and the CIA powers from the NGO is awesome. Listen, go reach out to, if anybody knows Whitney Webb, tell her to call us, tell her to send us. I'd love to have Whitney Webb on the show. We love her work. We think she's amazing. In fact, I'll reach out ourselves. But if anybody, you want to see Whitney Webb come on the show and talk with me and fam, please let her know, and we'll get her on here and get it done. Okay, the reason these people own organizations about saving children and the CIA is heavily involved. They even pick who will get an Amber Alert. Wow. Mandy Jones coming up and dropping some truth bombs. Thank you, Mandy Jones, for those super chat contributions, and thank you for you guys, 8 of you guys on Rokfin. We need more than that. ROKFIN. Get on over there. Now, fam.
So Christine Pelosi,
yes.
right? Who has me blocked on Twitter. I don't know why, but she has me blocked on Twitter.
Because of Russia stuff. She's Russia.
She said, "Hi, Netflix, from a customer and former ADA and SFDA. Child abuse sexual assault unit. Cuties hypersexualizes girls my daughter's age, no doubt to the delight of pedophiles like the ones I prosecuted. Cancel this. Apologize. Work with experts to heal your harm. Hashtag cancel Netflix." Okay. Christine Pelosi's Nancy Pelosi's daughter, in case you didn't know. I agree with her take on this. This is like one of the few things I agree with her on.
Yeah.
You know, like but is she being smeared as QAnon? Is she being smeared as a closeted Trump supporter? No. Why? Because she's Christine Pelosi. She's Nancy Pelosi's daughter. I love showing the hypocrisy of a lot of liberals, just because they literally do this to Tulsi every single time.
Yeah.
I mean, we have spent over a year looking at the smears and stuff at this woman, and it's insane. They're just waiting to attack her on the next thing, and that's what irritates me, is that you're just dismissing this really real issue as QAnon just because she said it. And you know that it reminded me of when Emma called me left QAnon, because I was
QAnon
pulling
for the
up.
left.
I was pulling up
left?
Elizabeth Warren. Freaking money ties to corporations.
Well.
So I mean, it's like this: when you're right, they sometimes smear you. The mainstream media will freaking like go after you, and she's literally saying the same exact thing that Tulsi's saying. But who is being who is the one that's getting articles on Jezebel about being QAnon and spewing conspiracy theories? It's not Christine Pelosi who's got those articles. It's Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, and Christine Pelosi was really silent when Kamala Harris. You already had that in the thing. Thanks for putting it up. It would appear that Tulsi Gabbard is peddling QAnon-approved conspiracy theories on the main. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't happen against Christine Pelosi. And Pelosi was also kind of silent when Kamala, whatever you want to say it,
defended
a pedophile priest, and let him off the freaking hook. She wouldn't say shit about that. We remember that, though.
And Biden's creepiness with little girls, and his accusation of rape by Tara Reid. I mean, all of these things. You know, it's like the Democrats are the biggest hypocrites.
And Emma, for saying that stuff to you, Emma hasn't said shit about Julian Assange, and TYT's been silent too. We know who's buttering your bread. Fam, just really quick about some thoughts about the movie real quick. It was very hard to watch. I had to stop it a couple times. I was doing some cooking stuff so I could stop it and going on, because like I said, it seemed to really, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever. Not only normalized, but it kind of like when you lift something up, it just really, it made this whole sexuality for 11-year-old kids and the dancing, you know, just really like okay, and it was just like
yeah.
It was. I mean, I'm getting.
I had a
feelings,
feeling.
I'm
I haven't
getting
seen
icky it because I said, all right, let me watch this, because some of the things. Have you watched the whole movie, Tulsi? Or besides the girl twerking, and they were 11, man. They were 11, and also idolized the behavior, like that whole kind of like fighting between 11-year-old girls that were acting like they're 16 to 18-year-old girls. You know what I'm saying? You know, it just. It was really, really hard to watch, so I really kind of had to stop it a lot of times. And then the second part was the projection that this religious and like patriarchal cultures from other countries. The girl Ami was the main character. Her parents and family was from Senegal. It starts off right off the bat. The Muslims praying hard, whatnot. But the father is going to come home from Senegal with another wife. And the mother's just torn about this, and the daughter's kind of living with that and has to see that. And even that part, remember, fam, I told you, made me think about it. I'm going to teach you how to be a woman. We're going to go down, we're going to peel all these onions and potatoes and cut them for your father's wedding. And she's like already pissed at her dad coming home with another woman. Like, she can't understand why she's doing it to the moment. So it's kind of got that Western programming of look how women are treated over there. Look how, you're going to be arguing about the way the kids are kind of treated over here. Well, look at their choices over there. We're telling our kids at a young age to be free and do things they love and want. If they want to dance, let them dance. It's like,
sure, let them dance, but do they have to dance like naked?
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't understand the point of doing that.
Well, it also made me, I stopped too as well at one point when she was peeling the potatoes and the onions. It made me think about the attack on women from Jimmy Carter. And Jimmy Carter had the Violence Against Women Act, and it was one of the most persuasive human rights violations in the world. And I just want to kind of go over some of this stuff, fam, because when we talk about, the way women are treated around the world is just disgusting. Former President Jimmy Carter is using a call to action to end the abuse and subjugation of women, which refers to as the worst and most persuasive and unaddressed human rights violation on earth. Now, I believe this is back in 2014, right, John? 2014. I remember when we talked about this, Carter issued a strong statement about gender equality in a recent interview with NBC News' Andrea Mitchell. The former president is currently doing media appearances to promote a new book called A Call to Action, Woman, Religion, Violence, and Power, which discusses the issues of women's victimization around the world. There's significant data to back up this claim. I'm just going to read this last paragraph. The World Health Organization estimates that 1 in 3 women around the world are subject to sexual violence at some point in her life. That's fucking disgusting. You know what I'm saying? That's just terrible. In many parts of the world, women aren't receiving adequate health care and education. Every year, about 14 million girls under the age of 18 are given away as child brides, and an additional 4 million women and girls are brought and sold into slavery. 4 million worldwide. And according to the United Nations, at least 125 million girls in Africa and the Middle East have undergone female genital mutilation. Okay, so I mean, I looked at that angle and I was thinking about that and just, seeing that, because the movie just was kind of bringing out all these different types of emotions and thoughts and trying to judge it, and the whole censorship fam about, I had to stop it several times, but I gotta be honest with you, I couldn't grasp the overall message of the movie, what the director was trying to say. I don't know, because they never paint the predators as a friendly face. It's always an evil face. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They don't really talk about where it's coming from and the messages. I like I said, I kind of idolize that kind of mentality of that sexual dancing, and I don't know, fam.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the liberal trend, especially in Hollywood, is to idolize that sort of sexuality in children as liberation. And that's not liberation, because that's gonna turn against you. I mean, it can happen to your kids. It could happen to any of your kids where they get trafficked, where they get sexualized, and pedophiles get into contact with your kids. I mean, this isn't like you could look at the news and just see how this happens to little girls. Especially, this is why people are monitoring their kids more, because this is why you have like people undercover who go into these chat rooms and stuff who go after little girls. I mean, this isn't just CSI or whatever. This is like true, and I don't think you have to sexualize kids to be liberal on these issues. Like, that's not the way to go. You can be for sex workers without having to be for pedophilia. Like, I don't think it's a very nuanced, complicated, icky situation.
Because like you said, we need people to go into these rooms to see what these older men are going after these young 14-year-old girls. And speaking of a 14-year-old girl, a man could be 24 and a girl could be 14. Under Gavin Newsom signs this controversial bill into law, fam. And once again, I'm trying to understand it. Apparently, he was saying that it really helps LGBT rights. But you can see it right here. The Washington Examiner says Gavin Newsom signs controversial bill into law, reducing penalties for sexual relationships with minors. And
wow.
I mean,
I haven't looked at it, but off the cuff, that sounds like a hefty title. but Washington Examiner leans conservative.
It
so.
does. And I looked on the left, and the left said there was something according to the ABC 7 News in Los Angeles. And there was another one that said it's for LGBT rights of sorts. You know, he said very little about it. He tried to pass it in the quiet. And my first argument is whether it be left or right, fam, too, is why is he even passing this shit right now?
Yeah.
Isn't there other things to work on right now? I mean, that's what Johnny's first thing
it
was.
Seems
like
symbolic platitudes to me.
Yeah, it's once again, it's pandering and platitudes and whatnot. Not to stick up for anybody's right, but it said Gavin Newsom signed the bill to pass the Democratic-controlled legislation into law without comment Friday, expanding the discretion granted to judges in statutory rape cases. California law permitted judges to decide whether to place a man on a sex offender registry if he had consensual intercourse with someone 14 to 17 years old and was not more than 10 years older than the other person. However, that discretion only applied to vaginal intercourse, so sodomies, you automatically go on the list, which LGBT advocates, including the author of the new bill signed into law Friday, urged was discriminatory towards gay
So it screws
men.
them too.
It
screws them too. First of all, a 14-year-old...
Consensual sex with a 14-year-old if you're 24 years
you
old?
should not be having sex with a 14-year-old. I'm sorry. If you're 24 years old. That's fucked up. I understand. I understand if you're 16, 15, and your boyfriend's like 18. There could be like some nuance on that. But we're talking about a 10-year difference? And to pass it to... I don't know. I mean, I don't want people... penalized when they don't have to be, but I feel like this is a very stupid liberal, and it's going to incite some very conspiracy theories that he's probably involved with a sex ring, which, hey, I don't put it past the Democrats like Pelosi. This is Pelosi's nephew. Instead of passing legislation on climate, like climate emergency legislation, while our fucking state is burning,
or
rent relief, or homelessness help,
anything,
or more unemployment. Get with the unemployment already. He goes and passes this. This is ridiculous.
The bill was introduced by State Senator Scott Wiener, a San Francisco Democrat, and I was just about to mention that Johnny got on that too because I was looking at the other article right here. He said this eliminates discrimination against LGBT youth in our criminal justice system. The bill sponsored San Francisco Democrat Scott Wiener. Once again, I'd like to hear his take on it. I don't, the part where it says consensual sex with someone 14 to 17 years old. I mean, you're 14 and somebody's 24 years old. You can say it was consensual is really fucked up, fam.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I'm sorry for cursing, Mom, but
I don't agree with that.
I don't know what they're doing.
I'm literally like the least puritanical person, and I do not agree with that.
I don't even know what they're doing.
At all.